Hello.
Hello. Welcome to SehoPod. This is episode 9, I think. 9, yes.
Wow.
This has been a long-awaited episode. This has been a long time in the works.
It has.
I'm here with... Who are you?
Hi, I'm Izzie.
Izzie Venturini.
Izzie Venturini.
We're here in the beautiful Lake Winnipesaukee. And I have to show the setup now.
Show the setup.
We are in the middle of...
We're on a dock.
On a dock. Look at that. That's the house.
Mother wave. That's the family.
Look at them. And then this is the beautiful lake that we're currently surrounded by. And we just spent the past like 20 minutes getting everything onto this dock in the middle of the lake.
Yep.
With paddleboard, kayak, and here's our setup right now.
Yep. Which is very important because it's a very arts and crafts type setup. I don't think Seho's had anything so dramatic yet.
So dramatic, so elaborate.
Yeah.
So, it's happening. We're having a conversation. So you've been here since Saturday.
Yep. We got here on Saturday afternoon.
I've been here since Sunday night. This is Tuesday, August 13th.
Wow.
2024. Where do I begin? How are you today?
I'm doing great. I got a nap in. We had a good lunch. We're gonna get ice cream later.
Except Steph woke you up.
Steph did wake me up, which was not good. She also stole my Coke, which was not good. Steph is my sister. And life is pretty good. We were just reflecting about how this is our first week in 6 weeks where we haven't been at work. It's very different to not know what time of day it is and really what day of the week it is. And then we'll be brought right back to reality next week. But
Right back to reality at Boston College.
At Boston College.
For year 2. So, why am I with Izzie? Why am I here? How do I know this person? So, I attend Boston College. We're going into our second year. Izzie also attends Boston College, and she's also going to her second year.
Yep.
And we both lived in Williams Hall our freshman year.
We did. I was the second floor.
And I was the third floor.
Room 221.
So second and fourth floor were girls' floors, first and third were guys' floors. And it must have been a September or October day that I was doing my laundry. And it was like midday. It was like midday.
Yeah.
I was doing the laundry.
And I was doing my laundry.
And you were doing your laundry. And then, I don't know who
I think I said
started
something
conversation. Okay.
because my roommate knew who you were. And I was like, oh, aren't you Seho?
How did you know who I was?
I don't know. I feel like everybody had been talking about the other Williams people and who they knew. I think it's because she met Jonas and you knew Jonas somehow. I don't remember.
Sure, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And then so she comes and do laundry, and then we just start talking, and then turns out she lives in Italy, and I'm like, yo, that's so cool. And then I forgot about her.
Yeah, he did actually forget about me. He had no idea who I was the second time we met.
Forgot about her, and then...
Which was outside of Ava's dorm.
I was talking to friend Ava, on also Williams' second floor, and then Izzie, is heading back to her dorm, and then she stops by and says, keep talking, and then she's like, I know you, we met. And I was like, yeah.
Who are you?
Right, yeah, we did meet, right? And then... After that, you went to see my play.
Yes, I did.
And then, I had, we were, talking on DM, and then you were like, hey, let's hang out. And then we did, and then...
And then the rest is history.
And the rest is history. The first semester, I don't remember us being super close.
No, we weren't.
But then we came back.
He did FaceTime me once during Thanksgiving break with his brother Timothy.
That's true.
That was our first phone call.
That is true.
I will never forget it because your data wasn't working and I was sitting there on my bed at home what is going on?
Yes, that's true.
And it was really funny.
But then came back second semester, And then we actually were going through the texts, and you said, let's hang out. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then since then, it was a lot of like, just like getting meals together.
Yeah.
Stopping by each other's dorms, saying what's up.
Me lying on your floor a lot.
Yeah. Me stealing fruit and snacks from your room.
Yeah.
And
then you got indoctrinated into the Venturini family.
Yeah, and then now I'm on family vacation with them.
Yeah.
So since then, we just became great friends. Some could say the bestest of friends.
Aw. I would agree.
And so what's happened since then? Let's think. We did school. We
got through our first year.
We got through our first year.
We almost got through our first college summer.
Almost.
Yeah.
We're very close. And then I saw Izzie at the Cape Cod, that is. What was that, 2 weeks ago?
Like 3 weeks ago?
Almost
3 weeks
a
ago?
month. With some other BC people.
Yeah.
And then now here we are with Piero Venturini, Bryony Bechtold, Izzie Venturini, and Steph Venturini, and then me.
Yeah.
At Lake Winnipesaukee. Beautiful place.
Here we go,
First
the
time
dock's
here.
rotating.
Yes.
You can
So
see
get
the
to
full
see
view.
More of the view. Got the island in the back. What is you are a frequent at Winnipesaukee. How did that start?
I would say maybe like 10 years ago. So when I was about 9, I think we started coming here because we were looking for a place to go for a family vacation post Cape Cod, which is where my grandparents live. And my mom found the lake after a few years of going to Acadia, which doesn't really have like swimming per se.
Okay.
And so they wanted a more like swim type destination. And so we came here for a few years. And then when we finally moved to the States, we kind of stopped coming, did other sorts of trips. And then last summer we came back to the lake again for the first time in a few years, rented a house in a completely different part of the lake. It's a huge lake. And this year we're back to Moultonborough.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's fun.
it's been a good time.
So, what do you want to go over first? Do you want to go over BC first or where you been first?
Well, we can do it in chronological order.
Chronological order. So we're starting the beginning of your conception.
Okay, I
Hold
guess
on.
we are.
I gotta pull out my journal where I have some of these questions written down. But
Okay.
please go ahead.
Okay, well, to everyone who doesn't know me, hi, I'm Izzie Venturini. I was born in Rome, Italy in 2005, April
Shout out
2005. And 3 years later, after my sister was born, we moved to Milan. I went to a Jesuit private Catholic elementary school for 5 years. And the thing about Italy is in elementary school, you're with the same classmates and the same one teacher for all 5 years.
Oh.
And then the same thing happens in high school. You're in the same class with the same classmates and same like rotation of teachers for all 5 years. So you get to know the people in your class pretty well. One of my best friends now is somebody that I met in first grade, and we had our first 5 years of education together, which is awesome. And then after elementary school, I moved to a public school near my house, was there for half a year, then switched to a school run by nuns, another Catholic school. It's called Orsoline, which was known for being the school with the best art high school program in the country. In Italy, there's different types of high schools, and you choose kind of the direction that you want to go into, kind of career-wise very early on. So when you're applying into high school, you choose if you want to go into the classics high school or more of a STEM high school, the art high school. There's like a more sporty one. There's the language high school. There's a few different ones. And this one had the best art high school in the country. And having been an artist my whole life, I really wanted to go there. And then my parents told me, no, we're moving. And I really did not want to move because I had finally found my place in this school. But we did end up moving, and we moved to New York City, to the Upper West Side in Manhattan. And I went to Dwight for 4 years, and from 7th to 10th grade. Had a great time education-wise, slightly less great time socially, although one of my other best friends is from Dwight. Love her, Kira. Shout out to Kira, who Seho has met. Seho's met basically everyone at this point. And left Dwight feeling, much more confident in my writing, in my communication skills, in my capability to socialize, because prior to going to Dwight, I had never done school in English. So I got there in 7th grade, being kind of immediately pushed into the middle years program of the IB, and I had never written an essay in English. And through a lot of help from teachers and my mom and Kira, and a lot of reading. Fun fact, Kira and I used to have competitions for who could read the most books in a year. I think she might have hit like 100 and something once. I never reached that level, but through a lot of reading, managed to get my writing and speaking skills up to like bilingualism perfection. And then we moved back to Milan at the end of 10th grade. This move I did see coming, unlike the first one. Moved to the American School of Milan, to a new apartment, and did the diploma program years of the IB at ASM, and had like the best 2 years ever.
ASM stands for?
The American School of Milan.
Mm-hmm.
And then I applied to college, and I got into Boston College, and I went there, and I met Seho, and that's it.
Yay! We're done.
Those are the important things. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
So you applied BC ED1.
I applied BC ED1.
And how did you find out about BC?
Oh, this is such a good question. Well, my grandparents, as I said, live on Cape Cod. Mm-hmm. And so before living in New York, the Cape and by extension Boston, but not really. I didn't really know Boston that well. Mostly just the feel of the area.
Okay.
Was kind of the only part of the U.S. that I felt was personal to me. Like I'd traveled in other places, but I'd never, that's kind of where home was, and still is. My mom went to Boston University, so I had heard, from her growing up what that experience was like. Yeah. And it had never really occurred to me even to not come to the U.S. for college. People are always really surprised about that, since most of my life was spent abroad, but I always knew that I wanted the American college experience that you see in movies, and that's exactly what I wanted. And I was never really pushed by either parent to consider anything else until I started the college process, and my dad was like, "Why don't you stay in Italy?" Mm-hmm. And I said no. And so when I started doing college tours, I visited BC. I didn't know about BC really before visiting schools. I didn't know about a lot of the schools I applied to. And then I did a couple college tours with my mom, visited the school, absolutely loved it. One of the panelists, her name is Teresa. She is actually one of the reasons why I loved BC so much on my tour. And I actually had the opportunity to work with her this year with the student admissions program at BC. I'm now myself a panelist, and was able to tell her this, and she was able to talk to my sister about applying into the School of Education, which she just graduated from. And so that was a really cool full circle moment to have with her. And just the whole, the vibe of the school. I know that sounds cliche, but I really liked it. And now, looking back, I feel like I maybe should have considered this more when applying for all of its benefits, but I didn't really think of it that much at the time. But the fact that it is a Jesuit school now, I think is, one of the reasons why I've loved it so much, is because of all of the values that the school has kind of integrated into everything. So I decided to do ED. I never really had a school that was like, that's where I want to go. When I was living in New York City, I said it was going to be Columbia, and then I didn't apply to any schools in New York City. So, yeah, I'd never really had a dream school. I just kind of found it.
Yeah, there you go. Me too. How was your time in New York? like when you said it was hard, like socially, how was it hard socially?
Well, my school in New York was an international school. So they attracted people coming from all over the world, people who wanted to do the IB so that then if they moved countries or cities, they could have that same program.
Sure.
But I would say the majority of the people that went to Dwight were, and I assume still are, New Yorkers and Americans.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is like Americans with dual citizenship, like me.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of New Yorkers, and my grade was an extremely cliquey environment. And I think that that comes from living in New York City, which is a very kind of competitive place when it comes to school.
Sure.
And yeah, I found my like group of friends, but wasn't as much of a social butterfly as I would have been considered probably at ASM and later on.
Yeah.
And probably that is what led me to being more of a social butterfly,
Sure.
is trying to find people within all of the cliques that were more normal per se.
I'm gonna come back to the social butterfly thing.
Okay.
But just about like living in, I mean, because Rome you were too young, but living in like Milan versus New York City, like other than, it's gonna fall. What are like the biggest similarities and what are the biggest differences?
Oh my gosh. Differences is that Milan is a tiny city.
Yes.
There's only about 3 million people that live in Milan compared to New York, which is like 8 million.
3 million is still a lot though.
It's still a lot, but the city itself is much smaller.
Yeah.
And everything kind of revolves around the same areas.
Okay.
But honestly, to go from one side of the city to the other, like by bike, it's probably taken me like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's a tiny city.
Right.
And it also, because of that, it feels like everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
So if you're part of certain social circles, like for example, one that I'm part of is an international school student, all of those people tend to know each other, and you tend to navigate among the same groups of people forever.
Yeah.
But that also comes from, like I explained earlier, the fact that high school, elementary school, and middle school, those chunks are spent with the same people.
Yeah.
And so you tend to know their friends, and their friends know each other, and then it's all kind of similarities. I'd say both cities are quite like busy places. It feels like Milan being like kind of the capital of all industry in Italy and kind of the economic hub of Italy is super busy. I mean, obviously nowhere is like New York, but they're both very like animated places.
Sure.
Yeah.
What was and I guess maybe the social aspect has to do with it, but what was the hardest part about moving around and like places but also schools, because schools was probably more than places, and then what was the best part?
I think the hardest and best kind of,
Same?
they're kind of the same.
Yeah, what is it?
In that moving schools a lot. I think I've been to, including BC, like 8 schools in my life. Means that you're meeting a ton of new people.
Yeah.
And so you kind of learn how to maintain relationships with people, even knowing them for like shorter periods of time.
Yeah.
So, just like 2 years, some of my friends from the American school in Milan, I would consider some of my closest friends, and I only knew them for 2 years before going to college. But that kind of is a double-edged sword because, like, as my mom always says, relationships have to have input and energy and work put in from both sides, and so you tend to get disappointed a lot when moving around a lot because that doesn't always happen. And it's, even if both sides do try, sometimes those relationships fall apart because of just distance and time zones and interests that are, naturally different because of maybe culture or your environment. And so that's hard to like lose people that you were like once really, really close with just because you moved.
Yeah.
but then you get a collection of friends that's like fully international, and you get to meet people in like the most random places and have connections literally all over the world. And that's something that my parents both have too. My dad through work, my mom because she lived a very similar childhood as I did, moving from the States to Milan to London and kind of in the same types of environments. And that's something that I've kind of like grown up almost knowing how to do, or like wanting to know how to do, is maintain these relationships and be able to have like people that are so different as my friends. So yeah, that's I think the best part.
Yeah. So on that, and then back to social butterfly, like I could see how that, like how you became more social through those like circumstances. But like what did that progression actually look like? Was there a point where like you weren't as social butterfly as now?
Well, you've met my dad and my mom, and I'd say that they're both pretty like talkative, outgoing people. So I think that in a way, I've always had that part of my personality because of them. My mom is somebody that, like I said, is very good at keeping relationships and doing like what you say you admire so much about people, which is like making a plan to get lunch, making sure to call people up when they're not doing well, those kind of things. And then my dad has always been the one with like the sense of humor. So he can make like any situation completely relaxed, and that's something that I've always admired that my grandpa also has, my Italian grandpa. And so that's something that I've always wanted to kind of emulate. And so I think it's a little bit copying the two of them. And a little bit, I will give a lot of credit to my best friend Kira from Dwight for this, because when I got to New York City, she was like, you're gonna join the admissions program, even though you've only been here for 2 weeks. And you're gonna join these clubs with me, and we're gonna go meet all these different people, and we're gonna, you know, have good relationships with our teachers, and we're gonna be super extroverted. And that's how she's always been. And awesome. I think that definitely rubbed off on me. And because of my relationship with her and the things that she taught me and just like being herself, I feel like I've grown to be somebody that is like very accepting of other people and very like willing to have relationships with all sorts of different types of people. And so I would say it's a mix of the three of them, and also just the fact that I like meeting a lot of people, and that hasn't really ever changed. It just kind of exploded when I got to New York. Yeah.
That's awesome. I asked you this question before, and I let you think about it, so here we go. What has been the biggest area of growth in your life from high school into college? So let's say you 4 years ago versus you now. Or even you 2 years ago versus you now.
I think that since moving back to Milan from New York, I have grown tremendously in both like my need for independence, but especially my like sense of like who I am, and kind of trying to not conform to the environment that I'm in. And I hope I do that well. I think I do.
I think you do too.
But I'm pretty sure about who I am and the things that I like and the things that I don't like, and what I look for in friendships and what I look for in relationships and what I look for in, you know, my future and the things that motivate me and drive me. And that doesn't really get impacted very much by the people that I, you know, I'm surrounded by. I'm pretty like sure in my beliefs and in what I want. So, you know, if there's something that I don't like, I don't do it. If there's something that I really want to do, I'll do everything I can to like get there. And that comes with like goals, but also certain clubs, certain things I do in my free time, certain types of people that I associate with. I'd like to think that I can stand on my own in all those regards. And that's changed a lot since New York. I think when I was living in New York, and kind of trying to navigate the social scene at my school there, and trying to understand, like, okay, do I give up parts of myself to be friends with certain types of people? And I actually, where I did learn that I don't want to do that is because I did have a moment when I did that, and I gave up a very good friend of mine in order to kind of fit in with the crowd, and hated myself for it the entire time it was happening and after, and managed to salvage that friendship. And fortunately, because I don't know where I would be without it, and I realized that I don't need to, do things for other people, because that doesn't make me happy, and that's not who I am. So that was the moment of turnaround.
So you just said that you are sure of your beliefs, like you know where you want to be, you know where you are, like what you want to do. And there's another question I asked you before. I talk a lot about faith with you. We talked about it last night at the dinner table. Talk about it a lot on SehoPod. So if I consider Jesus my way of life, then what is your way of life? And let me add to that question. So what is your way of life like, and more specifically, like where does your moral compass lie? Where is it from? Like, you are sure of your values, your beliefs, whatever it is that you want to do. Like, how did those develop?
I think that primarily I'll have to give credit to my parents. I would say that my main beliefs come down to kindness, being kind. Something that my mom was telling me to mention earlier was loyalty. I feel like a sense of loyalty has to exist in any kind of relationship. If you're, just classmates or friends or romantically involved, or, even just your family. I think that, I don't know. I would think that kindness includes a lot of different things.
Sure.
And it's something that over the course of freshman year, in living with new people, and even living not necessarily in the dorm, but seeing every day.
Yeah.
Something that I feel like I need to work on myself, but also that I feel like I have been working on, is to be more kind and to be empathetic and to try to see things from all sides, as my mother would say. And I think that as long as you're kind to other people and about things, and kind to yourself, then everything will be okay. And I think that that's not a comprehensive answer, because comparing that to your belief in Jesus is just not remotely on the same level.
But if I were to continue to give my answer, it would be much more beyond Jesus as well. Obviously there are things like Jesus is the ultimate, but obviously beyond that there are things that I believe to be true about myself specifically, and how I want to personally live my life.
Yeah.
So.
I think that also something that I've been working on over the last few years is to live things more lightly, and I do struggle with this at times when things really irritate me, but it's also something that at BC I experienced more on a day-to-day level of not everything is really that deep, and just because things bother you doesn't mean that you need to actually always talk them out or always make them into a whole drama. And
that's true.
So I think that all leads up to the idea of happiness, and being happy with the decisions that I make and the people that I stay in touch with.
Yeah.
And it all really comes back to the people that I surround myself with. I was just thinking today that this whole summer, I've always had a person or a group of people that I could go to if I needed a hug. And for a really long time at the beginning of freshman year, I didn't feel like I had somebody to go and hug when I needed it. Not necessarily felt sad, but just when you need that physical act of love. And that is something that I struggled with a lot at the beginning of the year. until I managed to find people where I had that, like, not necessarily level of closeness, but, like, I was like, okay, I trust you, and so I'm gonna, like, show you that I need that, almost. And it's something that, like, physical touch like that has always been such a huge part of a way to, like, I don't know, like, be more at peace. And I was thinking today that I'm so glad that this time going into the school year, there are so many people that I can, like, go hug when I need a hug.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, I think it all comes back to, like, the people and doing things for and with people that you enjoy spending time with.
Yeah. So those people, I mean, I can totally agree about the, like, who you're with, who you're surrounded by. Like, we're at a point where our parents have laid the foundation of, like, who we are, but now the people who we're surrounded with, especially at college, have arguably more of an influence than our parents do at this point of, like, you know, who we become and who we are. One question I had for you before, another one that you had time to think about, was I asked you about, so those people, and you and I are both very people's person, people. And we were talking about the relationships we've developed over the past year in this new environment, and we were talking about deepening those relationships. So what do you think? There is so many factors in, like, deepening a relationship, but if you were to, like, point to one thing, what would it be? And then there's part 2 to that question is then how or why are we so close as friends?
Oh, okay. So my parents did hear Seho ask me this question, and they had 2 different answers for what they thought I should reply. My dad said time, because he thinks that, and actually, my dad said time and my mom said loyalty, and I already mentioned loyalty, purely because she said that before, and I was like, oh yeah, that's actually a thing that I do consider to be very important. I would say that time doesn't necessarily make a relationship deeper, which is something that we were talking about earlier, that, for example, you know, there are countless people at BC that I feel like I've developed a much stronger relationship with compared to people that I've known, you know, even my whole life.
Yeah.
That I would consider my best friends, but the relationship is just completely different and based on completely different things. So I don't think time necessarily is the most important. I think that time comes into play when there's issues with the relationship and you need you know, space and those kind of things to actually be able to reconnect. But I would say probably, I think that loyalty comes in very, like, different ways depending on the relationship. Like, I see, like, you saying, oh, you know, I really have to study, but let's get lunch anyway, as, like, a form of loyalty.
Interesting.
In a way, I feel like. Because you're saying, like, yes, I care about the relationship and I care to see you and I'm loyal to the fact that we should spend time together, and so I'm gonna do what I can to do that. But I also just think, like, I don't know, what are some of the other things that you had mentioned?
I mentioned time, loyalty, vulnerability. My answer is love, as is my answer for everything.
I would say love is a good one. I don't think that like vulnerability necessarily is what makes every friendship flourish. Like we were saying earlier, you don't necessarily have to be vulnerable with your closest friends to have a very good relationship, because it depends what your relationship is based on. If it's a friendship of, you know, fun rather than a friendship of values, then you don't need vulnerability necessarily. So yeah, I guess love, but I think all of those things then kind of collapse into love.
It's all about love. The answer is always love. That's
love is, I mean, comprehensive of all of those things, so maybe that is the best word. Love. So how did we become such good friends? Because, I don't know. there was just too much love from the beginning.
I guess so.
Like,
I guess that's
after seeing your play, I was like, I need to get to know this guy more, and then we just managed to have some really good conversations, which I think has instigated a lot of reflection and a lot of vulnerability and a lot of acts of kindness within our relationship.
That's true.
There are few people that I'm able to have such like in-depth conversations with, and even, you know, not necessarily just about religion or God or Jesus like we were talking about last night, but also just like being able to analyze the situation really well and like from all sides. And for you to say, no, I don't see it that way at all, Izzie, actually, what are you talking about? That is not something that everybody can do, and so I think that that's very important. And also you're just fun, so to make it less deep, we have a fun time together.
I have an answer as well. I was thinking about it too when I asked you, and I think like the root of it is we're both people that care about other people, and I think there is like, at least in my perspective, maybe I could be doing more, but I think there is like a very good balance of like pouring out and receiving. And I think that like it's like not something I can find all the time. Like I guess the simple way to put it is like we match each other's energy well. I would agree. But I think in my mind a better way to put it is I am pouring out as much as I'm receiving. It's balanced. It's very balanced. Which is hard to find. I would agree. Because like sometimes in a lot of relationships you doubt like, oh, is it like, am I doing too much, or like maybe they're doing too much, like, oh, I don't want all that. But I never felt that way. I think we are the kind of people that can have lots of relationships, but also narrow down on like the very important few, while maintaining all of the others. Which is hard. It is hard. And you know, something that is still worth navigating and understanding how that works, and where you can, you know, put in more or receive more. I would agree. This goes back to your way of life. This is a real tough question because so in terms of your values, your way of life, you know, your beliefs, where or in whom do you find your worth or your value? Like as a person, as a human being, as a soul. I think that that's something I'm still working on. It depends on the day. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, this is your day. You got awesome. It. I'm so awesome. I'm dressed to the nines. I feel like I'm so cool. I feel like I know what I want to do with my day, with my life. With your life, And then the next day I'll wake up and I'm like, I wish so many things could be different. And I, you know, have no idea what I want to do with my life. And that recently has determined a lot of my present, like self-worth. Like not knowing what I want to do with my life, not knowing like what I want to continue studying in school really, and not knowing like what that would mean for my future in terms of where I live, which is a huge topic of like discussion, I guess, in my family, but also like just mentally something that takes up a lot of brain space for me is like deciding where I want to put my focus in the future physically in the world, and how I can, you know, better myself and better the world with whatever career I pursue. And that has definitely made me really anxious a lot this year. And that I think has shaken my sense of self a little bit, for sure. Like not knowing really like what my end goal is. Yes, right back into what we were saying. I don't know where that cut, but that Jesus is guaranteed, that you think that, but not in a Jesus way. And I think that's most people, especially at BC, where it's all spirituality talk, which is great. It's just like being able to like direct that into one being, into one presence, rather than like, you know, trust that everything will be good, and like
more generally
everything will be okay. So
Yeah.
So you had the idea of we'll be back. Izzie Venturini will be back on
yeah.
SehoPod.
Oh yeah, next summer.
This will be
on a new family vacation.
Exactly, new family vacation next summer, and we'll have a year that has gone by, so a lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's do a quick rapid fire questions right now.
Okay, let's go.
And then we'll update it next time I talk with you. Okay.
Okay. Like very basic things.
Basic things.
Okay.
What's your favorite food right now? Just say anything.
Favorite food?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can tell you what I'm craving.
Yeah, go.
I'm craving the BC, what's it called? What's the chicken with the broccoli called? I can't believe I just said chicken.
Chicken and 2 sides?
No, not that.
Chicken
Not that,
broccoli,
the other one.
Chicken,
I don't remember what it's called.
I don't know what you're talking
Anyway,
about.
favorite food is my dad's tuna pasta.
Okay, great. Are you happy?
I am.
Why are
yes.
you happy?
Because I'm here with you right now.
Awesome. What's your favorite article of clothing right now?
I just got these new pants from Reformation, and they have these little like shiny stud things on them, and they're really cool.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get them. They're getting altered right now, and I can't wait to wear them.
Yeah. What's going to be the best part of your sophomore year?
Hopefully understanding what I want to do with my life.
Awesome.
Slash actually knowing what's going on at BC. Slash having new friends and people coming to visit me at BC. Shout out to Julia and Kara.
Awesome. What are you studying right now at school?
I'm double majoring in political science and English.
Awesome. And ask yourself a question. I don't know.
What's my favorite color? Pink. Am I in a relationship? No.
That's a good question.
Hopefully that'll change. Just kidding, guys.
Anything else?
Who are my best friends right now? Seho, Ari, Faith, Julia, Kira, Kota, Steph. No, just kidding. Steph's not my best friend. No, she is. She is my best friend.
I think that's about it. And my question for myself is, what's the...
Are you happy right now?
I am happy, and the purpose of life is love. That's my answer.
The purpose of life is love.
That's my answer. All right.
Thanks for watching.
2 minutes and 40 seconds to wrap up. So as I do with all SehoPod members, guests, I like to pray for my guest because I believe that prayer is powerful and that it's awesome.
I love it when you pray for me.
And I have done that for you.
You have.
So let us pray real quickly before we wrap up.
Okay.
Let us pray. Dear God, I thank you so much for the Venturini family, for Izzie, for Lake Winnipesaukee, for this time that we get to talk. God, you have blessed me with such an amazing friend that is Izzie, and that we've had such an awesome time together at BC so far and beyond. God, I pray that as we wrap up this summer, as we go straight into sophomore year, that there's a lot to look forward to, there's a lot to be nervous about, but God, I pray that we may rely on each other as such close friends, to confide in one another, to be there for each other, and to continue to maintain this awesome balance that we have of pouring out and receiving. Hello.
Hello.
It's the next day.
It is the next day, indeed.
Our episode was cut short. Our prayer, the rest of it was beautiful. It just wasn't captured on video.
It wasn't.
And this morning we went blueberry picking. Yes. And we had a nice lunch in Wolfboro. And we tried Zots. Seho tried Zots for the first time. Which is hard candy with fizzy inside.
And we had Pop Rocks. And Seho had lots of blueberries.
I did. But we wanted to properly close the video once again because it got cut short.
Yep.
I'm still here with her.
Yep.
Except I'm leaving now.
No.
But it's been a great time. It's been a great time with Izzie. Oh my gosh! There's a rat in the house.
Mommy, there's a mouse.
I'll capture it.
Oh my god.
Don't say oh my god 50 times, please. It's gonna be okay.
Ew.
Is it alive?
Yes, it's right there.
No, I know, but it's alive.
We just gotta,
Yes.
we just gotta put it in the outside.
Ew. Okay.
The little mouse has been dealt with. We're back. Anything else to say?
I don't know. I'm a little frazzled after that situation.
We are frazzled, but
How did it get there?
I don't know.
I just saw it.
We just saw it too. We noticed at the exact same time that
Yeah.
it was there. It was right there behind the
Because I was
camera.
like, what is that?
Yeah. We'll do this again next year to
Yep.
update on her life and my life.
Yeah.
You talked about the joint episode,
We'll have some joint
collab episodes,
Yep, with Faith.
some
with
other special
Sam,
guests. Yes,
with
exactly.
Marco.
Some other friends.
Yeah. Because I can't go a whole year without having another podcast episode.
Yeah.
That would just be.
You'd get pretty lonely.
I think the viewers would get pretty
Right,
lonely
right.
without this duo.
Yeah, totally.
Well, guys,
That's about it.
catch us in real life soon.
Catch us in real life soon. We'll be
Boston
off to
College.
school in a week and a half. So
That's crazy.
until then.
Bye. Wait, I wanted to do the.
Okay, you do it.
Done.